Welcome to space. Space. The never-ending void of nothingness filled with planets containing their own life and history and whatnot. And the best part,
we will all die before we see it. We will never get to see these things in real life in our time alive, so why not see the closest thing to it?
I can see my house from here!
No, not Google Earth. What? I meant No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. What a perfect representation of the ugly duckling, who, from the ugliness of its own being, was reborn anew with it actually being a great game now. A beautiful little duck. A lot has changed from launch, which has made it a really good game, but makes it an even better game in virtual reality and possibly one of the best VR games to date. And with the new Interceptor update just releasing, I thought that maybe I should try revisiting this game for my initial impressions at launch, but this time in VR. This is because No Man's Sky VR is not just a game, but is an experience. Being in space has never felt so immersive, now to the point where I feel like I would suffocate and die if my ship were to open mid-flight. And while we are talking about space, No Man's Sky has some awesome flight controls, where you actually have to pull levers and switches in your pilot seat to control your ship. This is awesome, as it actually feels like you are in control and not standing in your freezing basement wrapped in 10 feet worth of cables. And when on the ground, you aren't done with the immersion, as you actually start to feel like an astronaut. This is due to being able to use the suit on your body as you actually would if you were there in space. For example, if you put your hand on the side of your head and press the trigger, your helmet will enter scan mode, kind of like how they do it in the movies. Similarly, the multi-tool is on your back. You just reach over your shoulder and grab it, where it now is in your hand to be used. Small things like this make the immersion factor so much higher, as you don't simply press a button to do something, you have to physically do the action. The same is done when having to scrub through menus, as those are a mixture of really good and intuitive to use to downright garbage. So let's get the bad menus out of the way, those being the ones that pop up in front of your face. These flat walls that appear in front of you containing text, or your inventory, or the settings, or whatnot, this can be seen as a bit off-putting, but you get used to it pretty fast. The big issue about this though is that these menus can show up behind objects, making them unusable, and will only show up in the set direction that you have as forward. It's not a super harmful issue, but it's just annoying and is something that can easily be fixed, but it's weird that it hasn't been fixed and has been here for nearly 4 years. But the good is seen in the menus on your hands, where on your left hand you poke the thing you want and go into the sub menu where you can quickly build or recharge your items, and on your right you can change multi-tool settings and use your scanner. All of this is done so you don't have to press any buttons on your controller, and as a matter of fact, to play 75% of this game, you don't have to press any buttons. Having less reliance on the controller buttons makes this one of, if not the most immersive VR games to date, as it is your physical actions that let you interact with the world and not your button inputs. And everything just feels better to use in VR, as I don't have to lock my head onto where my multi-tool is aiming like you do on every other version. This also helps to make combat a lot more enjoyable, as before it was decent and worked well enough. Interacting with things is also made a lot better, as it is no longer a button press but instead a hold and pull. Now, is it a bit of a workout? Yes, but you are a gamer playing No Man's Sky in VR. Statistics show that you need the workout, and you would think that walking and teleporting and even flying with your jetpack could cause motion sickness or issues like that, and I have to say I've had none of that. I have turned the vignette all the way down to 0, so there is no black bars on the side, so I am getting the full frontal experience of utter nausea, and I'm not getting a single thing, and it is fantastic. And let's just talk about how big this game actually is. No Man's Sky has gotten so big with everything still being present in VR, with updates being added constantly. All of this goes straight to VR with no delay, making this an immediately up-to-date version of the game. This also means that it will still connect to players on other platforms and can even keep the same save data. I can be playing on my Xbox, continue playing the same save on my PC, then go to playing it on the same save in VR. It's great because you don't always want to be standing around for hours on end losing the feeling in your legs, so you can take a seat and not lose any progress. Well, except you have the PS5 version or the Switch version, but we don't talk about that. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Having this connectivity between the platforms enables you to not have to search for a mod to get this game in VR or onto a desktop. It is already in that format. An example is Half-Life Alyx's super popular No VR mod, which puts the VR game onto a flat desktop. It's cool that it's a thing, but having a native flat screen version would undoubtedly be better. And what's actually really cool about this is that this mod is actually co-developed by one of the fans on this channel, so go support them and check it out in the link in the description. And when I say that you will get tired while playing this game in VR, I mean it. I mean, this game has over 18 quintillion planets to visit and will take over 585 billion years to visit all of them. There is so much to do in this game that I wouldn't be surprised if I'm still playing in 20 years. And this game isn't just big in its physical size, as there is a decently long story to follow, all while being able to build your base and do whatever the hell you want, because this is still a sandbox game. The possibilities possibilities are endless and still all in VR. But of course, if you're going to be spending so much time in this world, you don't want your eyes to burn up like they do when you look in the mirror. And luckily, No Man's Sky is a beautiful game both on flat screen and in VR, giving you sights that you have never seen before, like the beauties of space, or the life of a planet beneath you as you prepare to land, or the lifeless ragdoll of an innocent animal. Now, of course, there are parts of this game that shouldn't be looked at. I mean, like, look at that. Do you feel your eyes burning yet? And speaking of burning eyes, what about the lack of eyes? I never thought that decapitation would be a fun hobby, but here I am today enjoying every second of it. The glitches in the VR version of this game are small, but oh so much fun. You can tell they aren't supposed to be there. Like, I one time ran into an animal who was super distorted. I don't even have footage of it, but it sort of looked like this. This is all, of course, assuming that you can run the game. Have you ever tried running No Man's Sky VR on an RTX 3090 Ti? Because you fucking can't. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated, but you get the idea. I have never seen a game other than Forspoken struggle so much on a high-end system. Like, oh dear, does this game need optimizing. And don't get me started on the technical issues this game has with almost constant crashing and forced frame rate limits that don't match your VR headset. Heck, one of the reasons why the gameplay in this video is possibly not mine is because No Man's Sky crashes so often in VR while recording that I simply can't record. No, it doesn't. You're lying to me.
Okay. Oh. And it crashed. Wonderful.
Overall, getting the game to launch correctly probably takes more effort than solving quantum physics. But I have to say that even with these technical issues, the end result is extremely worth it. No Man's Sky VR is an underrated masterpiece when it works, easily proving why VR is a worthwhile investment and can be a great outlet for a video game. I will gladly lose the blood flow in my body if it allows me to stand for another hour or two just to play No Man's Sky in VR. No Man's Sky is a fantastic title, one that I can see myself getting lost in for the years to come, both on flat screen and in VR.